You know what's really sad? It's really sad that society has convinced us to see strength in being uncaring and apathetic. Like the less that we care, the stronger we are, or the more mature that we are. And it's actually the opposite, right? Like we should all care. We should all care more. We don't care enough. We're not angry enough. We don't care enough. And when we equate apathy with strength, or with maturity or whatever it is, like, oh, I want to be unbothered, right? Like the most unbothered person wins. But then when you are unbothered, right, then you're less likely to stand up for what is right, even things that harm you, right? Like things that, harm other people. I kind of get in theory like not caring because like it's selfish, right? Like I don't have to be concerned with it because it's not me. But the thing is, like, if you remain apathetic with other people, then you gaslight yourself into believing that whatever awful thing you're going through is okay. And that's what they want. They want us docile. They want to remove our teeth, so to speak. And like our connection with our emotions and our anger and our rage and being bothered and caring, like that is the ticket to liberation, because how are we going to fix things that we don't care about? Like the world is going to hell in a handbasket. Like literally, the world is on fire, right? And we choose to be unbothered because it feels like an impossible task. But if all of us cared, we can make the change that we want to make, right? If we petition to the right people, if we actually cared, if we actually were bothered, if we actually were energized emotionally, then we can actually make the change that we want to see. It's not impossible. You know? Yeah. And it happens slowly. It happens over time. It's not like an overnight thing where we just decide, oh, I'm just going to decide not to care anymore. No, like it erodes slowly. Like apathy erodes slowly until you get to a point where you realize, like, dang, like, how did we get here? Now, when it feels like all hope is lost or like it's beyond saving, like, oh, I can't do anything now because it's too big. But it was small at first, right? Like we should care. We should care what happens to us. We should care what happens to the earth. We should care what happens to our fellow man. Okay? Because this is a group project. And everything bad that happens to everybody is something bad that happens to me. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, the way that we get to freedom is by caring more. You are not more mature because you're apathetic. You're scared. You're scared of feeling. You're scared of feeling. You're scared that if you feel, you might not stop feeling. And that's what we need, right? You're scared that if you actually gave a care, you know what I'm saying? Then, like, oh, now I'm going to be saddled with the responsibility of my caring, right? Like, we don't want to be bothered. We want to be, because life is so overwhelming. And that's another way, right? Like, they overwhelm us so that we don't even have the energy to feel. We don't have the energy to be angry. And by us not being angry, things get to slide. Things slide. When I look at other countries, and not saying that they're, they're the star example, because they're not. They have their own problems and a lot of problems, okay? But I'm going to mention France simply because, right, recently, as far as like a couple of years ago, they were trying to, I think, like raise the age of retirement or something like that, and they stormed the streets. They were not having it, right? And I've seen some people from the US specifically being like, oh, they're just doing too much. No, you're apathetic. And you don't understand that this affects you too. Because if one system decides to raise the retirement age and they determine, oh, it's okay, it got over easily, they're going to do the same thing to you. It's going to happen to you. And there's not going to be anyone that cared because you didn't make a fuss. Like, this is so evil. Like there's so many levels to this evil, and the way that evil keeps rearing its head and winning, or seems like it's winning, right? Or whatever. Like the way that it keeps looking like it's winning is because we don't care. We don't care enough. Like when you really research, it gets really depressing because you realize that inequality is baked literally into the soil, into the like it's woven into the fabric of America and the West. Like they need scarcity to thrive. They're literal vampires. They suck the life out of people to live. And we are the little people that they suck dry. But they also overwork us, and so we're tired, and so we feel like we don't have enough to care about this, right? And I feel you, and I get it. And also, we are fighting for our lives. Collectively, we are fighting for our lives. You know? So yes, like We need to care. We should care. You should care. And you should care more. Even if, like, for me, I'm very much like, oh, I want my fellow man to do well because I care. But for people who need like a selfish reason, let's start here. Whatever bad thing happens to other people and you let slide and society let slide, be careful not to find yourself in that same situation. Be careful, because a lot of people are being praised for being uncaring and callous and cold. There is an economy based off of people's violence, right? Like, look at our country. Our country makes so much money from war, so much money from death and destruction. So to think that you're going to escape, right, unscathed is wild. Okay? So if you need a selfish reason to start caring, care because it's going to find you too. And you would hope to be surrounded with people who are not apathetic, but people who are empathetic and caring and kind and considerate. Okay? So care more. We should care more.